wasted enough time pretending you're trying, pretending you're building, pretending you're working hard when you're really just staying busy. The truth is you've been lying to yourself to stay comfortable. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens the moment you admit, I am the reason I'm not where I want to be. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's gonna force you to get up early, train harder, grind longer, or stay focused. That's your job. That's what separates winners from losers. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's ownership. Because the second you stop blaming the world and start holding yourself accountable, you flip the switch from average to elite. Your life is a reflection of your standards. Raise them and don't wait for motivation. You're not a child needing permission. Real men build momentum through discipline, not dopamine. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just do it every day, because consistency eats talent for breakfast, because every rep, every second, every sacrifice stacks into a legacy. You don't chase feelings, you chase results. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And what you want most is freedom, power, respect. You don't get that by watching motivational videos. You earn it through war. The war against comfort, the war against weakness, the war against the old version of you that gave up too easy. And if you win that war daily, the world has no choice but to follow. The reason your life hasn't changed is because you haven't taken control. You keep handing your power to distractions, excuses, and weakness. You want a different life? Then become a different man. Right now. Most of you have no idea how powerful you could be, because you've never taken full responsibility for anything in your life. You're drifting, not living, floating through existence, pointing fingers at everything except the mirror. And that's where weakness is born. That's the breeding ground of mediocrity. You've been lied to by the world, convinced that your circumstances are a curse when really they're a test. Every failure, every betrayal, every setback, it's all a mirror showing you who you are under pressure. And if that reflection disgusts you, then good. That's where transformation begins. Change doesn't come from comfort, it comes from confrontation. You gotta look at yourself and say, this is all on me. Every missed opportunity, every broken promise, every time I said I'll do it tomorrow and didn't, that's my fault. And that's not a weakness, it's the beginning of power. Because once you realize you're the problem, you also realize you're the solution. You keep searching for the secret to success like it's hidden in some expensive course or magical routine. It's not. It's in the silence between choices. It's in the moment your alarm rings at 5 a.m. and your body screams no, but your mind says move. It's in the moment when you're alone, broke, exhausted, and you still grind. People talk about manifestation like it's some spiritual hack, but the truth is you become what you tolerate. If you tolerate your own laziness, your life becomes a joke. If you tolerate excuses, your legacy dies before it's born. Your environment isn't stopping you. Your past isn't stopping you. Your parents, your job, your girl, they're not in control. You are, but you have to earn that control. And that's where 99% of men fold. They want respect without sacrifice. They want power without pain. But power is pain refined into discipline. Respect is earned in silence, when no one's watching and you're still doing the work. And greatness, that comes when you realize that nothing external will save you. It's all internal, always has been. You say you're tired? You're not tired, you're undisciplined. You say you're lost? You're not lost, you're just distracted. Stop lying to yourself. You're not waiting for motivation, you're waiting for permission, and no one's coming. No one's gonna knock on your door and say, hey, I noticed you've been a little inconsistent lately, want $1 million in a six-pack. That moment will never come. So what's left? You and your mindset. That's the weapon, that's the edge, that's the empire. You either sharpen it daily or you let it rust. You can scroll for hours looking for inspiration, or you can become the inspiration. Imagine that. Imagine being the man everyone looks to when things go wrong. Not because you're loud, not because you're fake, but because you built for war. Because you took all the chaos in your life and forged a kingdom from it. That's what men are meant to do. Lead, build, protect. And it all starts with leading yourself. Most people think mindset is just positive thinking, smiling in the mirror, reading quotes. But mindset is brutal, it's steel. It's telling yourself the truth when it hurts the most. It's knowing that emotions are liars and discipline is your only compass. When you let your emotions run the show, you become their slave. And the world doesn't care. The world rewards the discipline and punishes the emotion. That's why you're losing. Not because you're not talented, but because you're ruled by how you feel. I don't feel like working. I don't feel like getting up. I feel overwhelmed. Your feelings are the change, your mind is the key, and no one can turn that key except you. But here's the part most people miss, and this is where the hope comes in. You're not stuck. You've just never gone all in on yourself. You've never put everything else aside and said, this is my life, and I'm going to dominate it. Once you do that, once you truly own everything, the good and the bad, you become invincible. Because now you're not depending on luck. You're not blaming fate. You're not crying about things you can't control. You control you. And that's all you ever needed. Mindset isn't about pretending everything's okay. It's about building a fortress so strong within yourself that nothing outside can break you. People ask, how do I stay motivated? Here's how. You remember who you are, and you remember what you're building every damn day. That's what keeps you going when life tries to break you. The truth is, this world will chew you up and spit you out if you're soft. But if your mind is sharp, if you take ownership of every action, if you stop waiting for the right time and just move, then there is no obstacle you can't smash through. You don't need more time, you need more fire. You don't need a new strategy, you need a new standard. And that standard should be this: I will not be a slave to weakness. I will not be a victim of emotion. I will not outsource my destiny to chance. Every single day you decide what kind of man you're becoming. Not once a year, not on New Year's, every single day. That's the power of responsibility. That's the foundation of mindset, and that right there is the start of your empire. I wasn't born rich, I wasn't born disciplined. I built it. I crafted it like a weapon. Every scar, every betrayal, every setback, I used them like bricks to build a mine no one could break. And you know what changed everything? One single moment of clarity. I remember sitting alone, flat broke, no car, no freedom, just silence and four walls closing in. Most men would have folded right there. But I didn't ask, why is this happening to me? I asked, what did I do to let it get this bad? That's the difference. That's the moment you either evolve or rot. And in that moment, I stopped lying to myself. I stopped pretending the world owed me something. I stopped blaming the system, my environment, my luck. I looked dead in the mirror and said, if I want to rise, I've got to kill the weak version of me right now. No one came to save me. No lifeline, no motivational speaker, no brother to pick me up. It was me, my thoughts, and a decision to rewrite my identity. I didn't wait until I felt ready. I didn't wait for a sign. I created the sign. I forged it through action. That's the part they don't tell you. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn day by day, through pain, through boredom, through the moments when everything in you screams to quit. You fight through it, and on the other side, you find power, not just strength, but self-respect. And when you've got self-respect, no man can control you because you already control yourself. People think success is some glamorous path paved in luxury cars and five-star dinners. What they don't see is the years of invisible suffering, the moments when you sacrificed everything for a dream no one else believes in. I used to train when I was exhausted. I used to work when everyone else was asleep. I used to push myself until my body begged me to stop. And then I pushed harder, not because I was special, but because I refused to be out. You think it's motivation? No, it's identity. When you see yourself as a man of action, a man of war, a man of mission, you do what needs to be done. Not because it feels good, but because it's who you are. One night I remember I was cold, hungry, and thinking about quitting. I had just lost another fight, my finances were gone, people around me had given up, and the darkness in my mind was real. It whispered, maybe this life isn't for you. Maybe you were meant to lose. But then I snapped. I stood up, clenched my fists, looked out the window at a city full of weak men making excuses, and I said, I will not join them. That moment wasn't flashy. There was no music, no crowd, no applause, but it was real, raw. And it was the turning point. Because that's where a real man is born. Not in victory, but in defiance. In the refusal to be broken. You think you need support? No, you need purpose. You need fire. That's what I found. I created a vision so strong in my head that quitting became a form of self-betrayal. I would literally close my eyes and feel the version of me I was chasing. Rich, powerful, respected, untouchable. And every time I slipped, every time I felt weak, I'd go back to that vision and say, He's counting on me. The man I'm becoming needs me to suffer now so he can live free later. That's mindset. That's responsibility. You suffer now or you suffer forever. You pay in discipline or you pay in regret. People say like, you're lucky you had the mindset to push through. No, I wasn't born with it. I chose it every day. And you can too. The difference is I was willing to lose everything temporarily for a chance to win forever. I was willing to become obsessed. I didn't want balance, I wanted domination. I didn't want comfort, I wanted freedom. And freedom costs. It costs your comfort zone. It costs your bad habits. It costs your excuses. You have to bleed, but it's the kind of bleeding that cleanses your soul, because when you earn your strength, really earn it, nothing and no one can take it away. That's why I need you to understand. You are not weak, you are not broken. You've just been lied to your whole life. They've told you to wait, to be patient, to calm down. But calm men don't win wars. Patient men don't get rich, and weak men don't earn respect. You're not stuck. You've just never truly committed. You've never decided that this is it. That from this moment forward, every action, every choice, every second will be aligned with the man you're becoming. You have to break the mental chains before you break through reality. And the moment you stop looking outward for answers and start holding yourself accountable for everything, that's the moment you begin to rise. So here's the truth. Your story's not over. It's just been weakly written. Start again. From this moment on, you are the author, the director, the architect of your reality. Don't wait for the world to believe in you. Believe in yourself so ruthlessly that the world has no choice but to follow. Burn the old version of you, bury the excuses, kill the victim inside your head, and build the man who refuses to be denied. Every man has two lives, and the second begins the moment he realizes no one is coming to save him. That silence you feel when life punches you in the mouth, that's the real test. That's when your mindset either folds like paper or turns to iron. And I'm telling you right now, most people live their whole lives avoiding that silence, avoiding the mirror, avoiding the confrontation with their own laziness and fear. But that silence is where kings are born. That's where warriors are made. Because in that darkness you find the truth. It's all on you. The moment you accept that everything is your fault, your power doubles. It's not weakness to say, I'm responsible. It's freedom. Because if you caused it, you can fix it. If you allowed it, you can change it. No one can save a man who keeps outsourcing the blame for his failures. My parents didn't teach me. School failed me. The economy is rough. Shut it. You know what's rough? Waking up 10 years from now in the exact same place because you spent a decade making excuses instead of decisions. You're not a tree. You're not stuck. You've just never made a real violent commitment to reinventing yourself. And let me tell you something they'll never teach you in school. Your life will be built in pain. You either suffer now for the life you want, or you suffer later regretting the life you never built. The gym hurts. Discipline hurts. Waking up early hurts. But you know what hurts more? Looking in the mirror and seeing a coward. A man who ran. A man who could have, but didn't. The price of greatness is suffering. That's the currency. And if you're not paying in suffering, you're paying in mediocrity. Choose your pain wisely. What separates the elite from the average isn't talent, it's obsession. The kind of obsession where your vision keeps you awake at night, where every meal, every conversation, every second of rest feels like a distraction from the mission. I didn't become dangerous because I was lucky. I became dangerous because I refused to tolerate the weak version of myself. I became the kind of man who, even when tired, broken, or doubted, still moved. Because real power isn't loud. It's silent. It's calm. It's a man who walks into a room and doesn't have to speak for people to feel the pressure of his presence. You think you're waiting for motivation. You're not. You're stalling because the truth is you're scared of the work. And that's fine. Fear is natural. But you don't negotiate with it. You don't give it a seat at the table. You walk through it like a soldier. You treat fear like a child tugging at your sleeve. Acknowledge it and then drag it with you into the fire. That's how you win. You win by refusing to give your emotions power over your destiny. Your mind must be stronger than your feelings. If you live by that, you become untouchable. You've got to create such violent momentum that people watching can't understand how you move like that. That's what builds respect. Not talking, not posting, not waiting for some divine energy to bless your life. It's the discipline to rise when it's easier to sleep. It's the courage to start before you're ready. It's the cold, hard decision to dominate even when everything in you screams to stop. That's mindset. That's responsibility. And when you stack those bricks every day, no matter how small, you build a fortress inside yourself. One that no storm can break. People love to say they're stuck, they're trapped, it's not my fault, but let me give you the brutal truth. It is. You're stuck because you won't move. You're trapped because you keep choosing comfort over conquest. The prison isn't real, the chains are made of excuses. And the key is right in front of you. Discipline. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. The ability to delay pleasure, to sacrifice the now for the forever. That's what builds men. That's what separates the lions from the sheep. Because while the sheep look for shade, the lion trains in the sun. You want to change your life? Burn your plan B. Destroy your backup route. Commit like your life depends on it. Because it does. You're not here to exist. You're here to conquer. But you can't conquer anything until you master yourself. The world doesn't need more passive, agreeable someday men. It needs fire. It needs men who take total ownership of their minds, their choices, their outcomes. It needs men who stare at their flaws, smile, and say, let's fix it. And if you're reading this thinking you're too far gone, good. It means you finally reached the edge. And from the edge, you've only got two options: build wings or fall. You don't need someone to save you. You need to wake up. You need to look at your habits, your friends, your thoughts, your goals, and burn the parts that keep you average. Visualize success so vividly that it drags you out of bed, makes your blood hot, and forces you to act. Not someday, now. Now's the moment where the pretending ends. The games, the delays, they all start tomorrow. Done. There's no next chapter if you don't pick up the pen right now and rewrite the one you're living. And I'm not talking about posting motivational quotes or pretending to grind on social media. I'm talking about the raw, gritty, internal war that turns a boy into a force of nature. If you're still waiting for a sign, this is it. This is the wake-up call you've been dodging every morning when you snoozed your potential into silence. It's the slap you needed every time you stared into the mirror and told yourself you'd change, but didn't. You got to become violently allergic to mediocrity. I mean that. Every time you slack, every time you hesitate, that should make your skin crawl. You should be disgusted with the idea of being average, not because someone told you you're special, but because you know deep down you were meant for more, and you're tired of betraying that. Every second you waste is another step further from the man you could have been. You either grow or you rot. That's the law. And if you're not waking up with fire in your chest and pressure on your shoulders, then you're already behind. But here's the beautiful truth. They lied to you about how change works. You don't need a new year or a Monday or a mentor. You don't need a perfect plan. You need one decision. One brutal, non-negotiable decision to never go back to the version of yourself that let life happen to him. You take control now. You take responsibility now. And from this second on, you bury every excuse 6 feet deep and walk away from the funeral without looking back. That man is dead. He served his purpose. He showed you what losing looks like. Now it's your turn to show the world what resurrection looks like. You need to stop being afraid of starting from zero. Every legend began broke, broken, and alone. But they had something most people don't: ownership. They didn't cry about their past. They didn't beg for sympathy. They built empires from ashes because they decided if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That's the mindset that makes kings. That's the responsibility that gives a man true power. And if you think you're too old, too tired, too late, then you've already lost the game mentally. The only difference between winning and losing is who refuses to quit. That's it. That's the cheat code. Refuse to stay down and stop asking the world to go easy on you. That's weakness disguised as logic. You want an easy life? Then enjoy being forgettable. But if you want to build something eternal, if you want a legacy, if you want freedom, if you want the kind of confidence that radiates before you speak, then you embrace the storm. You run toward the fire while the rest run away. Because men are not made in comfort. They are forged in chaos, in doubt, in hardship. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Burn that into your mind. Etch it into your discipline. And every time it gets hard, smile. That's when you know you're leveling up. Let this be the moment your story shifts. No more talking, no more hoping. You decide right now. The world won't change for you. The people around you won't magically become supportive. The perfect time won't appear like a movie scene. That's the fairy tale. This is real life. And in real life, the man who takes responsibility wins. He wins because his decisions are his own. His failures are his lessons. His success is inevitable because he won't let it be anything else. Close your eyes and imagine that highest version of yourself. Confident, unshakable, respected, feared, loved, free. That man doesn't live in some fantasy future. He's buried inside you, trapped beneath the layers of procrastination, addiction, fear, and weakness you keep feeding. You don't become him by waiting. You become him by killing the things that are killing you. That's mindset. That's responsibility, and that's the path to power. So here's your final choice. And it's the only one that matters. You either go back to your old life and pretend this speech didn't hit you in the chest like a bullet, or you burn the bridge behind you and never go back. No more victim mentality, no more wasted time, no more blaming the world for the life you were too lazy to build. Today, you become the man who doesn't ask, he takes. Who doesn't wait, he moves. Who doesn't complain, he conquers. And the world, they won't understand you. They won't clap for you. But one day they'll look at what you built and ask, how did he do it? And you'll smile because you'll know the answer. I took responsibility.
There's nothing you cannot do. You can have anything you have ever wanted, anytime you want, as soon as you give a shit, blame yourself, and put some work in. Your mind must be an absolute monarchy. I cannot remember the last time I won anything unless I was winning by force. You do not win. There's no easy ride to the end. You're only ever going to win by force. Your mind must be an absolute monarchy where your commands are instantly obeyed and you instantly comply with your own mind. If your mind says, I'm going to train today, your body must instantly comply with the overlord, the absolute monarch, which is your intention. Because it is intention which matters above all things. You know, people talk about motivation all the time, and I'm tired of getting asked this fucking question. Let me explain something to you about motivation. If you felt like doing something and you didn't do it, you were never motivated. And if you didn't feel like doing something and you still did it, then you were motivated. How you feel has absolutely nothing to do with motivation. Motivation can be measured purely by the action in and of itself. Did you take action? Did you do what you were supposed to do? If so, you were motivated enough to do it. Even if you didn't want to do it, even if you hated the idea of doing it and was resentful about the fact you had to do it, that is motivation. The action itself.
Because when you look at words like procrastination, they give big fancy titles for this. What procrastination is essentially is wanting and needing and knowing that you must do something and disobeying yourself. I'm dehydrated, I'm going to drink this water. You know what? Your brain knows you need to do it. I know I need to do it. I'm thinking I need to do it, and I just don't. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world, because if you can't listen to yourself, how do you expect anyone else to ever listen to you? How do you expect to ever be the boss of anyone else when you tell them what to do? They're going to obey you, which is necessary to run a family, to run any small to medium-sized company, to have, I guess, any real level of success in the world. If you can't listen to your own commands, you have no chance of having authority over everybody else, because people can smell it. They can tell a dosser when they see one.
And I think men at home today need to be absolute monarchs over their lives. And this is actually a fantastic way to measure your capability as a man and your ability to get people to believe in you and your leadership. Let's imagine this. You're an absolute monarch of your life. You say what you want to do, you say how you want it to be, you say how you're going to live, you get it done. If a woman decides to stick by you with your absolute instruction and command, then she believes in your leadership. You have shown and demonstrated enough capability, perspicacity, indefatigability for her to sit at home and think, I want to follow this man wherever he is leading me. If she leaves you because you are not bending or breaking to her will, because it is an absolute monarchy that you own, that she is living within, then you're going to find yourself very, very lonely. So a great way to measure your capability as a man is to wake up and say, this is the life I want to live, this is how I'm going to live it, this is what I'm going to do, and see who's sticking around beside you afterwards. See which women are still there for you when you make it very clear how you intend to live your life. So you can live with absolute monarchy and reign as a king, and you're going to find out a lot about your capability, not only from women, but from men too. What men want to stick by you when you say, look, this is how I'm going to live my life, this is what needs to be done, this is the life I'm going to live. That will teach you a lot about yourself in an absolute monarchy, which is why you need the mindset of a king for the exact same reason. You now have an obligation to the people who believe in you. You now have an obligation to yourself, because it is an absolute monarchy that you are in control of. You can no longer delay it. You can no longer procrastinate. You can no longer live in the promise of a better tomorrow, of a perfect future. There is right now, and you have obligations you must fulfill. And I want to make this very important. By fulfilling your obligations to yourself, you default fulfill your obligations to everybody who believes in you and cares about you and loves you and relies on you. By fulfilling your obligations to yourself, you're not trying to get strong and get rich just to buy dumb shit. You're doing that because you owe it to yourself. You're doing that because it's going to please your ancestors and please God and please the universe. And by extension, you are automatically going to become more valuable to everybody else who believes in you, which strengthens your kingdom, strengthens your absolute authority. And there are some times in life as a man, you need absolute authority to be effective. If this house sets on fire, I need to be able to say to my woman, get up, run. I don't have time for her to say why. I don't have time for her to say, where's the fire? Maybe you can put it out. My friend's boyfriend didn't yell at her like that. Why are you being rude to me? There's no time. I gave a command and I expect to be obeyed because it allows me to save her life and mine. If you do not have absolute authority over the people you are providing and protecting, you are not actually effective as a leader at all. I believe everything in the world is a choice. And people will argue with me when I say that. They say, no, I didn't choose to feel this way. And I'll argue back that believing everything is a choice empowers you to make the change. Trying to say that everything is not a choice removes your power and your authority and your responsibility and your capabilities. When people sit and say, oh no, I didn't choose this, well then they can't choose to fix it. Whereas if you accept that every single thing about you is a choice, then you get to choose to change it or not. So I think the most powerful thing you can do if you're a depressed or sad person is you can choose to stop being one. And that's the mindset which allows you to be most competitive in the world. Like what even is true and false? True and false is adopting the mindset or the strategies which allow you to compete and win. That's what's true. It's like fighting, right? People say lucky punch. There's no such thing as a lucky punch. It landed and you threw it. That's a punch. And that's a punch you've been training for. So I like what you said about it doesn't matter if it's true or not because it's empowering. I would argue that truth is empowerment. What is true? Well, for me, what is true is what allows me to feel most powerful. That's what's true to me. When I look at scenarios or situations, I sit and say, well, option A makes me feel weak and helpless, and option B makes me feel powerful, so I believe B to be true. That's what I believe. And that's where my whole worldview comes from.
Would you get flack from that? Do people get upset with you saying that?
All the time.
Right.
But those are people who have a different version of objective reality, and their reality is not geared towards competitiveness like mine is. The primary objective of my thoughts and feelings and reality is to win. The only reason my brain activates is to win. It's not to feel happy. It's not on some garbage, endless quest for what might be true. It's to win all of the time. So I optimize for competitiveness and I optimize for performance in all things, which is very unpopular with a lot of people. Most people don't optimize for that. Most people optimize for the worst thing possible. Do you know what it is? You know the worst possible mindset you can try and optimize your life for?
Go on.
Happiness. Happiness is for women and children. You're allowed to be happy as a woman, and you're allowed to be happy as a kid. As a man, if you wake up and go, I want to be happy today, you're going to do unimportant, narcissistic, hedonistic garbage. You're either going to eat too much, drink too much, take drugs, sit around and play video games, smoke weed. You're not going to achieve anything if you want to be happy. It's ultimately temporary, and you sit there and go, I want to be happy today, I want a happy day. You're not going to achieve anything. As a man, 99% of the time, you're going to be stressed or annoyed about something that's just happened, currently happening, or about to happen. That's life. We live constantly anxious. We have a lot of things to do. And you either suffer the consequence of the stress it requires to be a somebody, or you suffer the consequence of having no stress because you're a nobody and you work in Starbucks and then you're a no one. There's no escape the eternal suffering of man. So many men say to me, oh, how I don't feel happy. I'm like, so?
You think I'm happy? I got nearly $1 billion. I'm still stressed. I was up at 6 a.m. I gotta go here, I gotta go there. I've gotta train, I've gotta do this, I've gotta do that. At what point do you think you've earned the right to wake up as a man and feel happy? Have men ever been happy? Name a period in human history where men were happy. Because if I think back, they were all dying in ditches. Yeah. But if you wake up and say, no, I don't want to work, I just want to be happy.
No, I'd be miserable. Well, everybody would be. In fact, I retired at 25 and was miserable after 2 months.
No, winners would be miserable. But losers love it, and that's why they lose.
Okay.
Losers say all the time, losers have this problem with temporary motivation. A loser will come and say, I really want to change my life. I can't live like this anymore. And they'll mean what they say for about 2 days. Mm-hmm. And then they're happy to go back to being a loser again. You know, they really want it Monday to Friday, but on the weekend, they're happy to go back to how they were. And that's why they never escape. They never get the terminal velocity required to break free from the atmosphere of mediocrity. So, yeah, I'm conditioned to win. Just like you said, you can't handle the idea of stagnation. You can't handle the idea of retirement. I'm the same. But I'm not going to lie and pretend that mindset means I live stress-free. In fact, I would argue that I adopt endless stress all of the time because I'm looking for problems to solve, because I'm looking for money to make. I'm looking to win. Yeah. So there's a competition. Everything I want, someone else wants. I have to beat them.
Let's apply that to mentality. You're not going to argue with yourself about what mentality you should have or how you should implement a mindset to be most combatively effective and what's going to make things work the best. If you're already working the best, you're not going to doubt your mind if you're already massively successful in all realms. The reason none of my enemies can convince me the way I think is wrong is because I outperform them. How can you tell me that my mindset is wrong and the way I think and act is not the correct way to be a man if I ruthlessly outperform everybody at everything? I'm better under stress, I'm more successful, I'm more well-known. Why would I want the mentality of these little trolls who nobody even knows who they are? They're insignificant nobodies. Why would I want to adopt the thinking of sad losers when I can be a competent, capable, and happy winner? And this is extremely important, but let's keep it on the mindset here. If you start to succeed in the way you need to succeed, you will no longer doubt your thinking patterns. If the way you thought and the way you felt, even if it was negative and sad, even if it wasn't a positive feeling, was giving you the results that you wanted, you would still want to retain that mindset. This is extremely important. You know, people ask me for advice and they say, Andrew, what should I do here? And I'll answer and they'll go, but I don't think that would work because of this. Since when is this a conversation? Since when is it? You asked me how to get rich. I told you how to get rich. Now you're telling me that I'm wrong while you're broke and I'm rich. This is not a conversation. You were blessed by an answer. You should thank God I even wasted my time on a lazy loser like you who's not going to take any action despite the fact I gave them the exact path to monumental riches and capability. Guys, I am sick and tired of being asked the same questions in different various forms that lead to the exact same answer, which is get something done. Get up and give a shit and actually try and actually care. All of your life will be instantly fixed if you start to actually care about the outcomes and blame yourself for all of these things.
You have wasted your life. And it's exactly the same if you sit around, maybe I'll go to the gym, maybe I'll start this, maybe I'll start this project, maybe I'll start this business, maybe I'll talk to that girl I like. You're going to end up 45, fat, chronically ill, too injured to even save yourself with training and to get back into shape, lonely, no kids, no money, broke, and the type of person that people don't want to deal with, which is another circumstance that keeps you broke. So the price you pay for this is not as simple as a bad year or a bad 2 years. It is literally a wasted life because we only get one spin at this. And if you throw it away, you've thrown everything away.
There's nothing more beautiful than absolute accountability as a man. It's truthfully the most beautiful thing a man can experience and implement inside of his mind. Absolute accountability for all things, both the good and the bad, to blame absolutely everything on themselves. I promise you, if you stop making excuses, you stop waiting and praying for some kind of better future, and you wake up every day and say, all of the good in my life is my fault, and all of the bad in my life is my fault, and I'm the only one who can fix this. It's never going to get better by itself. It's never going to be fixed by anyone else. It's never going to be easy. I have to win by force. I must force myself and my mind to brutally perform. There is a degree of comfort that comes when you understand that the power is within your own hands. And this is the life you want to live. I've been up at 9 a.m. and in meetings by 10 a.m. till 2, 3, 4 in the morning every single day. It's 2 in the morning.
Almost 3.
It's almost 3 in the morning.
Still
I've been
up.
busy all day long, and I'm a billionaire and one of the most famous people on the planet, and that's how I'm working. 16, 17, 18-hour days. You're sitting around on your ass doing
Doom
nothing.
scrolling.
Doom scrolling. And then you have the audacity to ask me why you're not where you want to be in life. Because men like me are going to take everything and not even leave you with scraps. There's not even going to be a little piece of meat on the carcass because you're too busy chasing around women who are too good for you in the first place. The only way you're going to have anything in this life is to wake up and to suffer the brutal realities of endless effort and to win by force. And that is the answer to 99% of your questions. That's the answer to how you get the girls you want. That's the answers to how you get rich. It's the answer to how you get in shape. It's the answer to how you become motivated. I can be motivated to do anything because I force myself. I can blink and cure my brain and be endlessly, permanently motivated to achieve the most mundane and boring and insignificant of tasks because I have decided my mind is an absolute monarchy that I control, that I rule. If I decide to become the world's fucking best at coin flipping, I will stand there and flip a coin so repeatedly over and over again until I am I'll become impressive at flipping a coin, if that's what I've decided to do. You can't motivate yourself to even get in the gym and have a body people admire you for. You can't motivate yourself to be sexually desirable. And then you want to sit here and ask me questions about how you get a woman. You can't motivate yourself to get up and log in and dedicate yourself so you can finally have some money. The dream is not to have a Lambo. The dream is to have a mother who isn't worried about hospital bills. The dream is to be able to travel around the world because there's a place you want to see before you die. The dream is to have a car that works, and if it breaks down, you can afford to pay it. That is the dream. And to achieve this dream, you do not have to climb Mount Everest. You have to open up a laptop and type, and you still fail. And then you want to sit there and ask me, oh, how come I don't have the motivation? You don't have the motivation to type on a keyboard to achieve your dreams, and you think I can fix a loser like you? If you're not improving, you are dying. If you're not growing, you are dying. There's no such thing as staying still in this world. Isn't it beautiful for a man to turn up, try his absolute best, or otherwise, attempt to try his best, and be completely responsible for the results, to get the benefits of a positive result and all of the negatives of a less than perfect result? There is nothing better as a man than to turn up and get a fair shot. That's exactly what you should want. You should want as a man to be judged for who you are and what you're capable of, with no sugarcoating, no positive spin because you know somebody. You want to just say, here's who I am, this is what I can do, give me a fair chance. You want a fair chance in life, and you want to be the kind of man who says, if I have a fair chance, I'm going to win because I believe I can work harder than everybody else. There is nothing better than turning up, putting on gloves, even if you've never fought before in your life, and showing that you have the grit, because you can only win things in life by force. This is a mentality decision. This is a chance for you to prove to the world that you never quit, that you never give up. This is a test to see who's a quitter and who's a winner. And this is why I said at the beginning, the only way I have ever won anything in my life is by force. The only way I have ever succeeded in anything in my life is by force. It's all I know how to do. It is all I have ever done, is to look at the insurmountable task ahead of me, to look at the large, huge mountain which has never been climbed before, and one step at a time, with an iron mind which will not bend, which will not break, remaining completely unfazed, put one foot in front of the other until one day I wake up and I'm at the top of the hill. There is no easy way to get anything else done ever. But perhaps, maybe, all of this is just a form of procrastination. It's a form of copium. It's a form of self-explanation where they can try and talk their way out of the brutal reality, which is work. People ask me, how do you get rich? You do this and you work. Oh, but that won't work for me, because they are saying that so they do not have to actually do the work. That's what they're trying to do, trying to avoid the brutal realities of life. There's nowhere to hide. You cannot escape. The only thing that is guaranteed in this life besides death is constant, endless, never-ending work.